City in a deep freeze, the scramble to ensure the most vulnerable are looked after.
We've had a situation over the last couple of nights where there was nowhere else to go, and so people slept on the couches in the lobby of our building here.
Warming centers, shelter beds, advocates calling on the city to do more as we experience the coldest weather in years. Plus,
Warrant in the first has been issued for a male Robert Robin crop-eared wolf.
police identify the suspect wanted for the random attack that resulted in the death of a longtime CBC producer, Michael Finley. And
they are overriding democratic rights, public consultation, the will of the people.
A protest downtown tonight to stop Metrolinx from cutting down several centuries-old trees to make way for a new transit line. Good evening. I'm Kelda Yoon. With temperatures plunging tonight to dangerous lows, the likes of which the city hasn't seen in years, advocates are warning of the lack of warming centers and shelter spaces for those experiencing homelessness. The city, meanwhile, maintaining it's doing enough to ensure everyone is safe from the cold. Ali Chiasson has more.
We are full. We have 30-bed capacity, and it's full. It's been full since we opened on Monday.
The Cecil Community Center downtown is operating as a respite center where clients can get food, have access to washrooms and a bed, but most critically, shelter from the cold.
We've had a situation over the last couple of nights where there was nowhere else to go, and so people slept on the couches in the lobby of our building here.
Shelter space is brimming on a regular winter's day. When it's this cold, there's worry the current framework isn't enough.
And so we need more warming centers, absolutely. And around the city, don't concentrate them all downtown.
Feeling like minus 30 right now. The risk of frostbite, hypothermia, cold-related injuries, death, all of those things are very real.
Lorraine Lamb has been an outreach worker for 10 years in this city.
What needs to happen now?
I mean, the solution for homelessness is housing. So we desperately need affordable rent geared to income housing right away. And until more housing is built, then we need more shelters, we need more warming centers.
The situation is fluid and dynamic.
The city has instructed shelter facilities not to turn anyone away tonight. A bed might not be available, but they should be allowing people to stay in waiting areas, just anywhere inside to shelter from the cold. Other than that,
our goal is to monitor the demand for that space and try our best within the resources we have available to make as much space available as we possibly can.
The city maintains that they have done and are doing enough.
We've added, so many spaces over the course of the last couple of months to support our winter response this year. Like in total, probably over 1,000 different spaces with shelter beds and new affordable housing.
These frontline workers beg to differ.
So I'm going home to my nice warm apartment, and this person is trying to wonder if you could get a bed in a shelter. That's awful. And so it breaks my heart. We've got to fix that. We really have to do something about that.
The city's Streets to Homes program has also dispatched extra 24/7 teams to encourage people to get inside tonight. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now. And Colette, temperatures will be going up as we head into tomorrow, but for the time being, definitely dangerously frigid out there.
Yeah, we just have another night and morning to get through, and then things will be improving. But having a look at those temperatures to start things off, going back almost 24 hours, so this is midnight. Yes, last night we're looking at minus 10 at that time, Oshawa minus 13, Hamilton minus 9. But then guess what happened? As we went towards the morning hours by 9 a.m., look how the temperatures had fallen off. Oshawa at minus 22, Peterborough minus 23, Barrie at minus 26. And those were, of course, just the temperatures, not even factoring the winds in. And those winds, boy, with a blustery from the northwest, causing all kinds of problems with the snow squalls and snow squall warnings, but also just blowing things around for the special weather statement in place for the GTA. So into even the heat of the afternoon, this is about as good as we could do in terms of those readings, still being in the minus mid-teens. So our extreme cold warning, of course, tonight is Friday night, so it's our last one here. Minus 30, but the wind chills are minus 40 as you head towards Peterborough and towards the Ottawa Valley there. So as the winds are easing off, which has been nice to see, that helps a little bit. It certainly helps with some of the snow squalls and those issues. But looking ahead into tomorrow, we're going to see a lot of increase in cloudiness and also a burst of flurries that risk in the morning and then again in the afternoon. So a chance for some scattered flurries. That's Saturday, and then some light mixed precipitation is possible on Sunday, but I'm going to take you through the whole weekend coming up. Just know that tonight we've got another very cold one, but then the temperature's coming up. -6, Kelda, in the afternoon, but it'll keep going up in the evening hours.
Thanks so much, Colette. Heat has been fully restored to an apartment building near Yonge and St. Clair after residents were left in the cold for a week. Temperatures were hovering close to 10 degrees Celsius in the units. Heat turned back on for the west side of the building and in the common areas earlier this week, but was still in short supply for the east side of the building up until last night. The city says it will continue to monitor the situation, with staff attending the property over the weekend to make sure temperatures are staying up. Water is back on after a water main broke along Queen Street West last night near Strawn Avenue. Police restricted traffic in the area as they worked to contain the water. 6 residential buildings were evacuated. Those residents were provided with temporary shelter. Salt trucks were also brought in to help deal with the ice given the cold temperatures. The city said today it's making good progress, but there's still more work to be done.
There's a fair bit of damage to the sidewalk due to the water heaving the sidewalk up, so we're going to have to chip that out and get that replaced. But obviously the priority here was to get the water back on for the residents in this area.
The westbound lanes of Queen Street are open, but the eastbound lanes are still blocked. The TTC is diverting streetcars in the area. And meanwhile, the city has completed emergency repair work for a water main break at King Street West and University Avenue that happened 2 weeks ago. All roads have reopened and regular TTC service has resumed. Toronto police this afternoon releasing the identity of the man wanted in the death of a former longtime CBC radio producer. Michael Finley died on Tuesday, a week after being assaulted while walking on the Danforth. Greg Ross has the latest.
The homicide unit has taken over the investigation into the death of 73-year-old Michael Finley. The longtime CBC radio producer was rushed to hospital with serious injuries after he was assaulted on the Danforth last week. Police say he died several days later as a result of those injuries.
A postmortem was conducted on February 1st of this year. At that time, the homicide unit took carriage of the investigation.
Earlier this week, police provided these images of the man they believe is responsible for the attack on Finley. Today, they were able to put a name to his face.
As a result of the investigation, we have identified the person responsible for the assault, and a warrant in the first has been issued for a male Robert Robin Crop-Eared Wolf of Toronto.
Police are still looking for Crop-Eared Wolf, who they say is 43 years old. Court records show he was facing a number of other charges at the time of this attack, including assault with a weapon and mischief under $5,000. Police don't believe he knew Finley.
It appears, from what we can tell so far, it's a chance encounter on the Danforth, resulting in an assault.
This is where Finley was assaulted on January 24th. We've talked to some of his friends who tell us he lived just steps away from here. In fact, they say he was a regular on the Danforth and was well known at a number of businesses here.
He came to Gabby's at 4 o'clock and he left at 6.
Every day.
Every day.
Longtime friends Patsy Pellman and Mary Lou Finley came to Gabby's today because it was one of Finley's favorite hangouts. He even had his own table here.
We're sitting at Michael's table. We came to have a drink and toast him.
They came to share old memories and to be together as they try to come to grips with his senseless death.
There's a really very large group of people who Michael moved and taught and amused and angered, and we're all his friends.
Yeah.
And we miss him.
Police are asking anyone with information on Crop-Eared Wolf's whereabouts to come forward. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Helicopter video captured a dramatic chase between York police and 4 suspects wanted in a series of armed robberies. Officers located this gray Mazda along with the suspects as they attempted to rob a bank in Whitby on the morning of January 20th. The men tried to run from the scene but were all caught and arrested outside the bank. Police say they were driving a stolen car. Investigators have linked the suspects to several other armed robberies across the GTA. One happened earlier that morning when 2 of the suspects attempted to rob a currency exchange store in Richmond Hill. The suspects, who are 15, 16, 20, and 21 years old, face a combined 46 criminal charges. Some of the oldest trees in downtown Toronto could be coming down as soon as tomorrow. Metrolinx says it needs to remove the trees from Osgoode Hall in order to proceed with work on a new transit line. The Law Society of Ontario says it is seeking an injunction in a bid to stop the chainsaws. And this evening, business leaders, politicians, and residents gathered to protest the move by Metrolinx, which they say is happening too quickly. Dale Manukduk was there.
From parks and trees, these prices grow. Oh, Metrolinx, oh, Metrolinx.
Dozens of people brave the cold to give voice to trees that have seen over 200 Toronto winters. Trees that are now fenced off and marked to be cut down.
Right in front of Osgoode Hall, which, as we all know, is one of the most historic buildings in the city of Toronto.
Metrolinx plans to build a subway stop on the northeast corner of Queen Street West and University Avenue. The provincial transit agency says the trees need to go in order to support an archaeological assessment, which it plans to begin as soon as possible. In a statement to CBC Toronto, Metrolinx says we have been engaging with communities on the project for over 2 years and can't afford to delay getting this much-needed project built. But a group of protesters says there's been little consultation.
Metrolinx is bulldozing its way through the downtown core. And instead of having a comprehensive set of consultations to collaborate with people who live down in the city they're trying to serve, they're just making arbitrary decisions, having one-off meetings, not providing full information or disclosure to community groups.
Metrolinx previously identified at least 5 trees that it says need to be removed. The agency also points to a third-party review commissioned by the city that looked at 10 possible options for the new station entrance. It concluded that the Osgoode Hall site made the most sense for commuters.
It also talked about the one right across the street at Campbell House as also one to explore and look at. And most of all, it gave us options that the community wanted to look at more closely.
The Law Society of Ontario, which co-owns the property with the provincial government, says it's seeking an injunction to stop Metrolinx from cutting the trees down. Many at the protest are hoping others join that call and bring Metrolinx to the table for meaningful consultation.
Call your MPPs, call your councillors, make a stink, make some noise, stand up, use your voices.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News.
Welcome back. A Toronto crossing guard says she's being denied compensation for lost pay after being hit by a truck last year while on the job. That's despite missing weeks of work when she was hospitalized for chronic pain. As Tyler Cheese reports, the situation has left her feeling abandoned and unprotected.
Without these, I can't function. I can't function throughout the day because the pain gets really bad.
Michelle Squire was known as the dancing crossing guard at John Ross Robertson Junior Public School in North York. But that all changed last June when she was injured in a hit and run while on the job.
I was crossing some children, and there was a 4x4 Dodge Ram that he came to the stop, and he was upset with me because he had to stop. He reversed and hit me from the side bumper, and I went flying back.
Squire was taken to the hospital by ambulance but was released the same day with minor injuries. A police report was filed, but the case has since been closed due to a lack of evidence. Squire went back to work a few days later but was still experiencing a lot of pain and PTSD.
And by the time I go home, I'd be taking different medications to try and numb the pain. And at the same time, it was hard to sleep and it was affecting me mentally. Sometimes I'd be home in the dark crying.
By late October, the pain became so severe she was hospitalized for almost 2 months. WSIB has since told her she won't receive pay for that time off because she can't prove her pain is related to the workplace accident. But at least one pain specialist says situations like Squire's aren't that uncommon.
Chronic pain is that pain that lingers even after the tissues have healed. And usually we say it transitions from acute pain to chronic pain in around 3 months.
However, she also says it can be very difficult to prove the exact cause of chronic pain symptoms.
It's not easy because there is this lag time.
Squire's ordeal is prompting calls for better protections from the city.
We need cameras and a speed bump or whatever the city could provide us.
And Squire has a message for drivers.
So just stop. It only takes 2 seconds to wait, right? You'll get to where you're going.
Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
The Ontario NDP will officially choose their new leader tomorrow. It's not expected to be a surprise. Marit Stiles is the only person who ran for the job. Lorenda Redekop has more on the new leader and what it could mean for the party.
I'm a little nervous. I think that's healthy.
Marit Stiles will face party members as NDP leader for the first time tomorrow. It's been months in the making.
Today I'm launching my campaign to lead the Ontario NDP.
Though you could say she's been building up to this for years. An NDP campaigner in Sarnia more than 10 years ago on CBC's Power and Politics, then called an NDP activist. Next, a school board trustee, before becoming an MPP. Asked what her vision as leader is, she doesn't say much just yet.
I think we have to go back and listen to Ontarians. They have a lot of the answers. We need to go and understand better where they're at.
She and her partner have 2 daughters. She talks about one issue that matters to her.
I know so many people, and this includes me, who've had kids who struggled with mental health issues and anxiety during the pandemic and since then, and we feel so helpless. So I really want to do something.
She grew up in small-town Newfoundland. She says she won't be the same in the role as the former leader, Andrea Horwath.
We're quite different people. We have a very different style and a different approach, but I give Andrea great credit.
Marit is a force, right? She's smart.
Here's what this NDP commentator sees as her challenge.
Ensure that the public sees her, the voters see her as the natural opponent contender against Doug Ford. And she's got about a year to do that.
One Conservative strategist has seen some strengths in Stiles already.
She's come up very strong on the Greenbelt. Good for her.
But he sees an NDP win in the next election as unlikely, in part because of the party's stance on economic issues. Doug Ford and the PCs got 41% of the vote the last time, a bigger majority than their first win.
So can she create that narrative that, Doug Ford and the Ontario PCs are past their best before date, and now we need a change in government. But the Liberal Party is not going to roll over either.
One NDP strategist hopes the timing will be right for Stiles, with the PCs trying for their 3rd consecutive win in 2026.
They get more and more lazy and get more and more tired of and forget, what they were originally kind of elected for. And so I think that's the kind of thing that you're going to see Marit really take advantage of, but also showing a real alternative.
Stiles has been traveling the province and plans to continue doing that for the next few weeks. Then prepare to face off against the Premier in question period, this time officially as leader. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
And this is a live look at the Toronto skyline, mainly clear with a few cloudy periods tonight and bitterly cold. Currently, it is minus 17 in the city, feeling like minus 25. Let's go back to Colette now with a look at your extended forecast. And Colette, you did mention some flurries in store for tomorrow, but temperatures will be on the upswing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's one of these unusual temperature swings, and that's why I've got in here a temperature anomaly for Saturday. First of all, let's deal with what happens before that. The extreme cold warning, again for tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll have those wind chill values near minus 30. But what I mean by the anomaly on Saturday is that the temperature as it comes up in the afternoon, that's not going to be the end of it. The daytime high isn't going to happen while the sun is up. It's actually going to happen in the evening hours, and that's after the sun has set. But the winds will keep pushing the temperature up, so our daytime high is going to come later in the day. But at least it's warming up, and we are going to get out of this extreme cold warning. Sunday, I say easy street. It's just going to be milder. Yeah, we're going to ease into that, all right, as things are going to feel so much better. But in terms of the sky conditions, with the winds backing off, that's helped in the areas where we really had some of those problems, especially along the 400 near Barrie with the snow squalls. But we've got the cloud cover coming in. Some flurries possible in the GTA tomorrow morning, and then again in the afternoon we could have a little burst of flurry activity, but primarily it's a mostly cloudy day. And then Sunday, a lot of cloud cover around too, although you'll notice the snow band is from Georgian Bay over towards the Ottawa Valley. We're in the drier sector. We may just get tagged with a little bit of late mixed precipitation, and I say that because the chances being so good that we'll actually have that temperature above freezing. Snowfall potential, well, it's just a trace or not much more than that for the GTA as we look to tomorrow, but where it becomes much more significant is along that band there, and there'll be snowfall potential for more than 10 centimeters coming on through. Temperatures overnight tonight, yeah, here they are. These are the readings. They're actually colder than last night in many cases, most cases. But the winds will be lighter, and so the end result is the same, that the wind chills at minus 30. They kind of cancel or balance each other out. So overnight temperatures looking like that. Saturday, if you were with us earlier in the show, you saw I had minus 6 for tomorrow because that was the afternoon forecast, minus 6 in the afternoon. This is by tomorrow evening. We're going to keep seeing that temperature come up to minus 3, nearly steady overnight, very little change. And then Sunday, 3 degrees. And then I think you might be noticing some mild days coming into next week, Kelda.
I like the sound of that. Thanks so much, Colette. Finally tonight, tomorrow is World Cancer Day. Ahead of that, researchers, doctors, nurses, and cancer survivors came together at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center this morning to raise funds and awareness for their annual Ride to Conquer Cancer.
You know, the ride is one of our major events. Of course, we run the lottery program every year. We have a walk, we have a run, we have road hockey to conquer cancer. All of that money is poured into our new initiatives.
The annual ride started in 2008. Since then, organizers say it has raised more than $250 million toward cancer research. We spoke to participants about what the event means to them.
Well, the ride means a lot to me. I started riding for Princess Margaret in 2009. My mom passed away from cancer in 2008. Said I think I can give back to the cancer community.
The Ride to Conquer Cancer is the largest in-person charitable cycling event in Canada. The 200-kilometer ride will take place this year on June 10th and the 11th. And that is our show for you tonight and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Shannon Martin has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.